Guys, if you're not cognizant of reality, if you're not intelligent enough to understand things, I was watching a thing on the Elvis and the Memphis mob, right? And the bodyguard dude was like sitting there, and one of the other dudes said, "Man, Elvis didn't see what he was doing wrong because he was getting all these prescriptions from these doctors, and he just wasn't taking them properly. He'd take them whenever he needed, the mother's little helper. If you take more of those, you will take it and overdose. Because you can't, unless somebody is, you have the pill police making sure that. And the thing is, like when you get Elvis, if you have the guy and the guy's your bodyguard and he's not supposed to let you take your pills, then you grab your pills and take, and he fires you. And remember they had that thing with the guy from Friends, Chandler, he died, and they blamed the bodyguard person thing. It's like, he went to send the guy to go get drugs or he'll fire you. It's just forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. If you want to kill yourself with drugs, knock yourself out. Right? That's horrible. It is, but if you want to kill yourself with drugs, knock yourself out. That's horrible. I understand. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? But if you sit there and you have a person that's supposed to be like a bodyguard or an assistant to somebody, and they'll fire you, and you won't be able to pay your extortion and live here if you go to get them drugs for them to kill themselves. Just live the Lord's Prayer. If you want to kill yourself with drugs, knock yourself out. Okay, do you understand how to apply physics? Why doesn't Feynman explain this? He's supposed to be such a fucking genius. Why isn't Brian Cox telling us to do? Why isn't Michio Kaku explaining this physics to us? Yeah, he teaches physics at NYU. That's supposed to be one of the best universities in the whole world. Yeah. I would not go to a building and tell people to, they have this idea schools in El Paso. Knowledge should be available to everyone. What is knowledge to you? The Lord's Prayer is perfect. The military that runs El Paso and Las Cruces does not. They make the knowledge available, but they allow people to censor it to target them for genocide operations. Intelligence is not something that works properly in everyone, right? No, your existence, you exist, right? And you don't need. You can't sit there and say that you allow something to exist. Okay. Existence is present whether or not you are physically present or alive to manipulate existence, right? So you got to understand the meaning of the word existence. When people say create, that's creating opportunity. You're not creating. You're causing what you perceive as an opportunity, because of the limitations you put on people through your excessive compulsive extortion and exploitation behaviors that make you feel important. Okay, everybody came by to see Elvis. Gene Simmons came to see Elvis. Al came to see Elvis. Warren Beatty come by to see Elvis, right? You mean the movies. He loved women. He didn't love women. He was sexually obsessed with women. And he knew because of who he was that he could have sex with just about any woman he was obsessed with. And that went to his head. It went to their head. And he just didn't want to marry Priscilla because, he saw her, he wanted to have sex with her. He found out later she was 15, and if the truth came out, he would be incarcerated and men would have sex with his butt in prison. I fucked Elvis in the ass. He fucked a 15-year-old girl. I'm a man. You like to think you are. Okay. Look, if a 15-year-old girl comes up to you and says she wants to have sex and gives you an ID that says she's 18, okay, just because the photo and the piece of paper says she's 18, that does not mean she's 18. How many is that? That's happened to a lot of us. Okay, a lot of us. Okay. You don't find out. I didn't find out till years later, but when I worked with kids in lockup and they said what happened, like with Gustavo, I said, if it hadn't have been for, my girlfriend sticking up to her mom and telling her uncles, no, I came on to him. I led him to believe that I was old enough to have legal sex with him. And, he didn't ask for ID. He didn't question me. I just told him that was my age. I was a senior in high school. He said, okay. She was a 16-year-old senior in high school. She was like my mother. She was a Sharpie, not as fast as Sheldon, but more like Leonard or Howard, and Bernadette. So, but she was an advanced student, a rapid student. She could do academics and other things to please the teachers more rapidly and more efficiently than most other kids could. I could, I just didn't want to, because like when I dropped out of school was whack. Little Earl wasn't with it. I always ended up in remedial classes helping all the kids in the remedial classes pass. Like Peggy Pettis reminded me, she goes, "No, Earl, you dissected everything. You did this. You gave us all the answers on this test. You did it." We sat down the day for what was this and what's that? All the ones that, okay, he's going to cover this. And you made sure that Chewy passed, Johnny Ramsey passed. You got everybody through high school, at least through our sophomore year. And then I went to the other one, junior. Yeah, you were always that dude that helped you. Well, Brett, Tallarico flunked me because she said that was an exceptional college level paper and you didn't show me any of your work. You couldn't have gone home and sat down over the weekend and wrote that paper about Lord Byron, or was it Shelley? I can't remember. I think it was Lord Byron. And then I did a bridge version, a smaller version for Brett to turn in. Brett got an A+ on his paper. But she flunked me because she said I cheated, that I plagiarized it. And Bob was sitting there and Brett goes, "I'm going to tell her." And Brett goes, "You're going to end up getting flunked out of school like Earl is because you're going to tell Mrs. Tallarico that Earl did your paper and you had it and got A+." And Brett's like, "That Chrissy, Brett Jones. Yeah. Twinkie, I was a genius, X times B squared." But that's my friends, okay? That's why me and Brett were friends, right? Okay. He was going to go tell the teacher, no, because I handed it, Earl did my paper for me, I handed it in, I got an A+, right? It's a work, he did it. Okay. Brett, you are the best. He's a sweetheart. Brett Jones is a sweetheart. But he was a lot like Elvis, Well, we're taking these pills. I get them from a doctor, and you're just like, whoa. And no, my girlfriends, my family does this. My girlfriends did this. My wife's did this. My in-laws, One was a nuclear engineer, and he used to do stuff like this with me, and I would explain it to him, and he'd go, "Oh, no, that's just wacko, liberal, left-wing, extremist bullshit." He sat and told me years ago, about 2006 or so, I can't remember, no, it was before that. It was, probably, I think we were watching it was one of the Super Bowls. We'd go over there for Super Bowl Sunday, and we were talking about stuff. And I said the stuff about the Tesla. And he goes, "Oh, no, that's a bunch of liberal bullshit. It is not tangible." Okay. For someone to take like Tesla, they said about Tesla with an engine and run a car and blah, 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 and get it to go with the necessary speed to do the speed limit and be safe and run all these things, right? He said and told me it's not feasible. Okay, he's a nuclear engineer. It's not feasible, Earl. And I was like, no, and then I told him the thing about John Draper's auntie and Prescott, and he also said that was bullshit and he was lying to me. And I said, no, his aunt, okay, made her own salad powders, put in her own salad powders up in their place, and that's how she pays for her retirement. She supplies enough energy to sell it back to the energy company. It was just one of those things, like with the lady that presented the findings on cancer to Congress and stuff, is like, it was, if you could do it, and you could do it, she could not sell it, she could not promote it, and she could not make a company out of it and make it available to others. But I could go to her and say, "Hey, I should have asked John, can you show me how to make these?" Okay, and do it my own damn self, and then end up in Prescott and Flagstaff. But I just didn't see it. I didn't have the capital. I was the big thing that always got in my way was my ex-wife that always lied to the authorities and constantly had me and Patrick living in the ghetto, and because she was a victim black homosexual that was being abused and oppressed by the man who was she married a white heterosexual, and he's and it's because I'm gay, and he uses that to, and I was like, that's so not true. Okay. She goes and lies to the authorities, and the authorities all attack me for being a white heterosexual, and her being the poor victim black homosexual. It's like, she can't, okay. Amy did the same story to Natalie and all that stuff. He came after me. He did this. He came this sad story. He took me. So no, she went and screwed your dad, your biological father. Came back crying to me, and I said, oh, you know. And she brought you with, and I was like, no one's gonna raise this crazy little baby. They all treat her like shit, and no one's gonna. I just couldn't. I went. She came by with Amy. All she had to do was just give me my key. And if she had any stuff, I would have picked it, put it in her car at work. Okay, if she needed anything, you know me. I'm a real amicable guy. I won't tell her anything. What, did you leave any stuff? Tell me all the stuff you leave. I'll put it in your car at work. But, no. She comes over, gives me this sad story, brings Natalie. And then, okay, I'm going to take all my stuff, and I'm going to go now. And I'll leave you this very special thermos and this lamp and a dog called Shithead, And she does all the drama and all that stuff. And I sit there and I go and put Natty in the car seat, and I just couldn't let her go. I just couldn't let her go. She was sitting there and she's looking up at me and doing her little faces that she does. Keeps you up till 2 a.m. And for the one so big, small, you seem so strong. My arms will. So a little voice in my head. Bring her back in, and Amy's all, okay, because she wouldn't have sex with Kelly, and she sat there and she showed me all the pictures they got, and he bought her stuffed animals and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And she said, no, we went over to the house, and he was still immature, and it was all just about his baby, and he did that, but he wasn't about, and she goes, I need someone that's going to pay the bills and change the diapers. I said, yeah, I know. That's why you brought her over and you had her me. I just can't let her go. I just couldn't let her go. Did I want to stay with Amy? Not after that, no. Then after that, she didn't want to go back to Northern Greens because she thought Kelly would show up. Okay. Because they went over there and had sex. They left notes and letters that she wasn't supposed to be talking to him and have all this thing that they wrote about having sex in the glove compartment that she left there because he's whatever he is, dick measure. Okay, she got a guy, I'm going to leave these in here. And she's stupid, okay? I went to go clean up the apartment because she wouldn't clean it up, okay? There were crackers in the crib where they fed the baby to go have sex. There was porno in the TV and the VCR, and there was signs of when you have sex with someone when they're on their menstrual cycle all over the sheets. So I'm like sitting there going, she's 19. She's not going to be able to raise this baby and take care of this baby, especially if she ends up with some asshole like this Kelly Jack Green motherfucker that got her pregnant. And then Amy would always tell Natalie when she got older, when you get a loser like this and he keeps coming back to you, don't take him back. And I'm like, yeah, I would never tell Natalie what happened. I since have online told everybody. Well, because I'm the most surveyed person in the history of the world. I got my K-Swiss and went ding-dong ditch and went from door to door and answered all the things to give you the score. Better than the Fugees could ever think about doing with every crew that they could take around to help redeem the Gospels. When you read the Gospels, if you lie on yourself to make other people look good, the good don't get done because the good, it's wrong to acquit the guilty and deny justice to the innocent. I remember when I was a lowercase g down in Mesilla Valley, riding around on my bike all day with Carl and the Cunningham things. When we went and we got all the what are those things called? We sold the. Mom didn't want me to play on the football team. We saw those boosters. And Jeff Sykes got this great idea. Let's go to the store. And we went and got all these boosters for the stuff for the football team. And Mom was going to make me quit because the coaches had me stand there. The little guy get hit by the biggest guy, and they bruised the top of my forehead. Knocked the wind out of me. I thought I was going to die. I'd never had the wind knocked out of me before. I'm not Pancho was sitting up in the treehouse with the little chair and saying, where were you going to put this? Why did you, what were you thinking? When she took the little folding chair from the Teresa's and hers little kitchen table toy set thing, and she put it up in the treehouse. I was like, there's no level ground here. There's no backing. As soon as you set on that thing, it's going to be unstable, and that's what happened. And that treehouse was probably about close to 8 feet in the air. It was been a tree. It was higher than if you go up in those branches and stuff, and taller Maybe, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating because Dad would reach up like 7. No, because when you're on top and you're sitting in that chair, about 8 feet in the air, she fell back and landed back. I remember being horrified and terrified because Pancha fell back on her back on that little metal folding chair, and I was just so nervous. Something's my sister's going to be, the rest of her life have disabilities and have, stuff because she did this. But no, we're tough. We're a tough bunch. We're a tough family. We are a tough family. And, when I fell off that, we were up on the top of the trailer and doing the things on the basketball hoop, and I fell off the basketball hoop and fell and hurt my wrist at the Cunninghams. That was a 10-foot basketball hoop. I was 10 years old. We're tough. We're tough. We're a tough family. Yeah, we're a very tough family. But, some people have superior genetics for survival because they own them, When you pray in private, and your Father who sees in private will reward you openly. And then all the Scientology people come around. How come he's so much better than me? How come he's so much smarter than me? How come his immune system is so much better than mine? How come he can explain things faster and better and understand things better and faster than me? Well, because when you have faithful communications and you're wise enough to submit faith and infinite glory and know right from wrong, true from lying, good from bad, wisdom flows through the wise like a babbling brook. Hi. Heart of Psalms, heart of Psalms. All right, I'm sorry. And seed of Proverbs, and the seed of Proverbs. Heart of Psalms, and the seed of Proverbs, and the seed of Proverbs. Ruth's Line, Granny Kramer, Little Mary Poop. Yeah. Little Mary Poop grew up and had a boy named Earl. It's in the book of Revelation. Don't act like you jealous girl running around saying, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I need more money. You're God and you need more money. Jesus is king, you're God and you need more money. Joshua, what was that? On the Mecca? Guys, you do know what the Mecca is, the place where we're supposed to live the Lord's Prayer eternally. When he went back to Mecca, he cleaned out the Kaaba and said there shall be no more idol worship and no more idolatry. Philanthropy, kindness with money, no more idolatry. And Christ will always be king. And the line of Christ, Ruth's line. Granny Kramer's grandson. Okay, Magnum, that's my Magnum smile. Okay. That's why the girls at Mayfield used to call me Magnum. Because they'd say something and I'd give a sarcastic little look and I'd smile. And Maria Miskus and the girls go, he looks like Magnum when he does that. I know I did, and I had hair, curly hair, wavy hair. The boy with the doolang, that handsome boy over there, the one with the wavy hair. No, it was cute. Yeah. And Peggy Pettis was right when she told her daughters, if I had married Earl Parsons, my whole life would have been different. And it would have, but they weren't going to allow me to be with girls that would trust me and, follow me and listen to me and not argue and fight with me and stuff. If she had dated me, Clint College, she wouldn't have gone through Clint College. She had been a lot more fun romantically in the bedroom. She wouldn't have drank alcohol. She wouldn't have played lots of poker and bingo with people she shouldn't be playing out with. We would have found ways to keep Leroy safe from... Leroy can come stay with us. I like Leroy. You know me. Hey, Pops. Hey, Earl. Wait, let me get this straight. Your wife's stepfather lives in your house? Yeah, we got 4 bedrooms. He's a really good cook. Nice guy. Real good at... Yeah. I burned up 2-car stereos before Leroy's. What are you doing, Earl? Went out and fixed it. Yeah, okay. Sorry. You blew a fuse. It's not a fuse. You went right to... Oh, yeah. Remember when Peter Favre laughed at me about that one when I was putting my new stereo in and I fried it? And he says, yeah, thanks. I know. I didn't do this before. Pat Holland did it for me. Okay? I am not too versed in stealing or not stealing to steal or not to steal this car stereo with the ones he goes, yeah, they have them on there that if he hits the wrong wire, it's go fries the whole unit. I understand that now. And if Patrick Holland was still alive, he would have installed it for me, but I'm not Patrick Holland. Yeah, Pat was good at that stuff. Yeah, he was. Good old Pat Holland, yeah. He was not a bad kid. He just had a bad life around bad people that made money off of kids being put in a sausage grinder they call the system. And he wanted out of the system. And he told my sister that too. He said, you don't got it as bad as you think you do. Your family is human just like everybody else's, but they're real good at, he saw us as being like the Malcolm X family. They're real good at correcting themselves when they're wrong, and they can admit when they're wrong. Like Mary Montalvo told me. She goes, Parsons, you don't have an ego. And you can admit you're wrong, but usually when you're wrong, it's not because you were wrong. It's because you were given bad information by trifling ass fuckers. That Arwak woman, she called it, boy, boom. She's Cuban. She Cuban called it. She knew. She was that astute. She was always, she'd get mad at me. You don't know nothing. You still on your mama's tit, blah, 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 blah. And then something would come up, and then I would break it down and explain it to her, and she's, God dang. That's why everybody used to always go to Parsons. Don't go to HR. He'll solve the problem and fix it and explain to you how to deal with it. When Renee was going to put Randy up on charges, Randy Murphy, for sexual whatever misconduct stuff, for trying to get her to go party with the Panamanian officers. I was like, no, it was just a good old boy thing. He didn't know. He was just being a good old boy. Hey, we'll go hook up with one of them nice Panamanian officers. They make lots of money. They're drug dealers and murderers. He didn't know. And that's why I tried to tell her, he didn't know. He's a good old boy. Just a good old boy. It's never meaning no harm. It's all you never saw. They working me like a dog, Parsons. I was like, he's only 3 months from retirement. And, don't give the military an excuse to fuck this poor, kind, fun country bumpkin man. I just hope he doesn't put his money in his walls and his cousins don't come and shoot him for it. No, good old Murph. Randy Murphy. 6'6" or 7. String bean, long and lean. Had a little Jeff Foxworthy mustache, but a shorter haircut because he was in the Air Force, How you doing, Murph? They working me like a dog, Parsons. They working me like a dog. Y'all get everything done? Everybody uptight and ready to go? Okay. Let's break out them cards, put on some music, and start, playing some spades and talking a little trash. Sugar Shack. Slice Dan and Sneaky Beach. My buddies from Missouri. Oh, God, they were funny. Those the blind guy whose buddy was the one that could back anything without us. Don't get a spotter. Get out of his way. Okay, just to let him go. If you had him on a load team, we got finished faster. All we had to do was just every vehicle that was hard to pull in. It didn't matter if it was a diesel, tractor, nothing. Trailer on it, whatever. That guy, all you had to do was... He was an expert. He was perfect at it. We knew. All he had to do was just, okay, if he needed help lining it up, just line it up. We'd get it. We'd help him. We'd line it up. He goes, now it's ready. Okay, and we all just got out of the way. And then you got other guys like that guy who almost didn't, no, you're not like him. Let him do it. And then when I stopped it and Captain Williams go, no, Parsons is right. And then he started abusing us. And I sat there and looked at Reg, and one of my guys told me, no, we're only required to put on the proper amount, not to tie it down. Okay, so we kept trying it down and doing all that, and we left. And one of his crew was there, and it was probably one of the loadmasters and stuff. But I had lots of times where the officers and Captain Holt, I love Captain Holt too. He was a nice guy. He was an ex enlisted that became an officer that was one of us. And then Captain Dye. Yeah, Captain Dye was always the one that would come along and no, you're not gonna, and that's why I loved Captain Dye so much. And everybody's because he's black. No, it's because he's got our back. If I am fucking up, Captain Dye will be the first one to put his foot in my ass. And I knew that. Okay. But if I'm right and somebody's power tripping and abusing my people, same way I used to tell Guardian Gibbs all the time. He goes, shit rolls downhill. Where I'm the airman with the shovel. You throw shit down on my people, I'm gonna shovel it right back to you. Why do you think Colonel Kells and Captain Dye liked me so much? and Captain Williams and Captain Holt, and I had, like, with the whole thing when they were getting ready to go off into on Desert Storm or Desert Shield or whatever, I don't remember what it was, but when I had that colonel who left a piece of paper that said, when these guys come over here, once they go over so many hours, I want you to call World War Warfare. I want you to order cots. I want you to bring in pizzas, and I want you to bring in movies for these kids to help their time pass so they're comfortable, And one of the officers came in and said, no, I've trained them. I was like, you've trained them good enough by now. They know what they're getting into. So I'm going to do with this. And he says, no, you can't. I said, I don't care. He goes, why? Because my bird trumps your bars. This piece of paper right here says they've been here 24 hours. The colonel says, get them some Kentucky Fried Chicken, some biscuits, and some, well, it was pizza, movies, and cots. And all the people in the Army were like, they love Parsons. Everybody else would cave. Not Parsons. Says, no, my bird right here trumps your captain, bubby. Okay? I know how to play spades, bitch. Okay? Start talking some trash. Sugar Shack, Sly Stan and Sneaky Pete just got you. See why people loved me in the Air Force? They loved me at Pope. I was a legend at Pope Air Force Base. Officers used to go around on flight lines trying to get a salute out of me because they knew they earned it. My dad said that before I went in. He said, Earl, what? He goes, you give them all the respect that they say this gives you and that gives you, but your real respect they have to earn. And so real respect was if I gave them a salute on the flight line because we weren't required to. And I had a lot of assholes off the flight line fuck with me about it, and they were shitheads. And they didn't deserve it, but they required it, so I gave it to them. Sergeant Scuttle. So, but with Captain Dye and Captain Holt and Captain Williams, when they did the right thing, and I appreciated them for it, you bet I snapped right into it and said, thank you, sir. You know, I didn't put on a show of it, but, you know, and then when they knew, hey, I got a salute on the flight line out of Parsons. You earned that, right? So, yeah, if it's an airman basic or an A1C, was senior airman the highest I ever went? And everybody like, ooh, you were an E4. No, in the Air Force, that just means you're the top airman. No, I was never a sergeant, not once. No, I was an E4. That's a senior airman in the U.S. Air Force. That was my highest rank. Okay. All the military people always said that. No, I ain't no sergeant. No, I'm a senior airman. I'm just like one of y'all. You know, private or corporal or whatever, you know. I'm like Klinger standing there in the Statue of Liberty thing with, you know, MacArthur going by in his cone car pipe saluting me, right, and shit. You know me. I'm like Scully, the guy that's, the one that goes to Rosieland and has to run from the MPs with Margaret and shit. You know me. That's Earl. Yeah. A one-man USO. Well, no, I had Brian. So a two-man USO and HR. Yeah. Oh, I was. Yeah, don't go to CQ, don't go to HR, go to Parsons. He'll take care of it. Yeah. He'll walk you through it. He'll help you through it. He'll help you do the right thing. If it needs to be dealt with them, it'll go there. If he can deal with it without going to them and no harm, no foul, and everybody makes up and shakes hands, and because here's what was going down, he'll explain it to you. It's Earl. He's the guru. He's our guardian angel. Yeah, or other people. Outlet circles. You're Jesus. That's because you're Jesus, man. I never told my family. What was your nickname during college and high school and military? Jesus. Yeah. JC. Mm-hmm. When I got older, because I got older and Jesus was crucified when he was young, and I looked like Jesus when I was young, it was Guru. Rabbi Ralph and the Guru. So they used to call me in Sierra Vista. Rabbi Ralph and the Guru. Before that, when I was young and everybody said I look like him, Jesus, JC, he's Jesus. It's because you're Jesus. I used to tell everybody that. He forgives because he's Jesus. It's bros before her because Earl's Jesus. He's JC, I tell you. He'd always tell me that too. It's because you're JC. You're Jesus Christ. No, I'm damn it. I'm his brother Russell. Oh, my dad did have a belt that took the skin off of children's bodies. No, he didn't. He left welts and bruises that you. When I stuck the Dr. Seuss book in my butt and I had a flat butt, and he laughed. I don't think he's begged me his heart because he was too busy laughing. He looked at me and I looked at him straight up like, go for it, man. It ain't going to hurt nearly as much, and I'm not going to put my hand down there. I think it was green eggs and ham. I really did have a Hank Hill diminished glutes butt that day. Oh, that was funny. Me and my taco shell behind. Oh, misty watercolor memories of the way we were. The things a 5-year-old would do to stop his butt from getting. My dad, she had a belt and whoa. He grabbed you by the arm, and he didn't even have to do that. He just had to give you that look. Like I told you, I'd be watching something of like Electric Company or Spider-Man was still on and shit, and he wanted to sit down and watch the news. He'd come in, look around, and he'd start unbuckling his belt, and you'd get up and go, did I forget to feed the chickens? I might have some chores I need to do outside. And he'd sit down and just kind of laugh and read over and teach the TV and turn it over to Walter Cronkite and sit down, put his hand inside his pants, And I'd go around outside. I think I just got played. Damn it. I'm going to miss the last of... Wow. Maybe Jim Oberlin is a little bit like my pops, Jim used to do that with me with shows. He was an ass. No, my dad, I understood. He worked hard all day, he wanted to watch the news. Jim would do it on purpose because he was just a dick. He would put on a show, whatever he wanted to watch, and he would turn it on, then he'd fall asleep on the couch. You would sit in the room and watch the show. He would sit there and listen and hear the show. He'd wake up like 2 to 3 minutes before the end of the show came on, and he'd change the channel. And then he'd do that all night long. Yeah. And you'd look at him and go, I'd say, Val, I'm thinking we ought to have arsenic and old lace for dinner. What are you thinking? It's like, if you want me to, I can just knock him the fuck out. Oh, it'd be easy. And then I'd go to school, and I slept in a room, and I had to sleep on a pad like I always did at home too, like on a foam pad on a sleeping bag, right? And I had because I dated black girls and all that stuff, and he was probably a bigot and shit, and all my friends were mostly black and Vietnamese and Mexican and stuff, and I had my pictures of Ray, because I had pictures of Tara and Ray and all my friends and all my black, and it was in this backpack, and he had this little Cocker Spaniel named Totley, and he would, just like Amy did with Natalie, with Patrick stuff and everything, he'd open the fucking door to my bedroom, and the dog would go in and tear up all my shit and piss all over it. Same thing Amy did with my new clothes in Sierra Vista with pebbles. And she'd scratch and tear up all my new clothes and saturate them in pee. And I was like, and everybody, well, it's a symbiotic relationship. I understand that the force doesn't only works on the weak-minded, and I understand how that stuff works. But you guys got to understand, okay? Yeah, Jim's an asshole, okay? But who invented Jim? Shit rolls downhill, all right? Now, there's no telling if, quote, when I fight authority, authority's always winning. Indiana wants me, Lord, I can't go back there. Right? There's no telling what will happen with a lot of these people when their cesspool ego playground is eliminated because love is the standard. Okay, do you understand? They won't be in these positions. I won't be financially vulnerable. And then if Jim does that kind of stuff because he's jealous of people, no one's going to want to hang out with him. And because there's no forgotten words and funds and all that stuff and everything like that, and because Val has me and Patrick and other people and Jerry as brothers and nephews and in-laws and stuff, what's Jim Overton going to do about it? What you going to do about it? He's going to go get a high-powered rifle and try to shoot us all from the trees. Well, we do have really good technology now, and if he shows the fuck up, it's like we have a Oberlin alert. Oberlin College? No, not that nice of a guy. His grandma was really cool. He was just an ass, but that happens. You have mongrels, people that get jealous, people that try to replace the truth with their ego, people that spend way too much time lifting weights and thinking that's strong and excessively and compulsively doing things that are clinically insane, that are not healthy. And with the supplements and all the stuff they do and the steroids, a lot of them do end up dying when they're in their 50s and 60s. But damn, they were hot. And, like the Elvis and them, we were taking all these drugs and doing all this stuff and not realizing it was killing us. Like Mike Webster and a lot of the offensive linemen for the Pittsburgh Steelers during the glory days. Yeah, my dad always used to tell us about it. Okay, guys, I love you. I'm fitting to go. If you're a stupid person, if you were stupid, would you be able to tell me? Would you be able to explain to me that you were stupid? Okay. Parsons, you don't have an ego, and whenever you're wrong, it's because you have bad information, and then you always correct the situation because when you have the right information, you do the right thing. I know. I love you too. Mary Montalvo, Marcato, if you're out there and you're well, I hope you're doing well. I love your boys, and I'd love to meet your daughters someday, and I hope they're as pretty as their mom. I'm sure they are. because we're judged by your deed, and you'd raise them well and love them well, and they'd reflect those sparkling dark eyes that I'd sit there and go, oh, you're so pretty, just like your mommy, you're so pretty. Okay, guys, I love you. All right, peace out, man.